garage, making people feel warm and welcome. And as an executive director, a lot of times people looked at those doors like you couldn't knock on them, you couldn't go in them, but she had an open door policy, which made a lot of employees feel welcome and warm to her presence.
You know, Dr. Michelle, she's the type of CEO that if you're feeling down and out, even in your it can be even something that's going on in your personal life. She's that type of person that you can go to and talk to, and she always has a way of making you feel better.
Director Shaw is an empathetic leader, so she does not have a command style leadership, but again, it's more empathetic, and so she takes her leadership outside of the office. She's not in the four walls each day. People find her at 8th Avenue a lot, walking through the shop, talking to mechanics. She's at the TG station. She's driven a paratransit bus, but it was in transit. So she's always engaged with the employees, and that's nice to see, and it's different.
So to see a CEO, don't mind getting in the trenches, don't mind getting her hands dirty, and also believe in her people. It's been a very, very welcoming experience.
There's one thing that motivates me when I hear Ms. Shaw speak of heritage, how she empowered you, that empowered you to reach up.
First of all, she always had a smile about her, she always had this warming sense of humor, and you have to have that in leadership. And I know that in this, I guess in this industry, especially college reputation, that's hard to have. But she kept that, and I can appreciate it.
I know I have grown, and I grow each and every day, but I can also say my department grows each and every day because of her leadership, and she set the example of how this organization should be ran, and we're following her footsteps.
Director Shaw believes in second chances. She believes in professional development, actually building and edifying employees.
Under Ms. Shaw's leadership, our team, our paratransit team, we've always been like a family, but we've grown closer under her leadership. And that's just because when you're comfortable.
In the year's time, the changes that this came and that she has provided for us, it's been great. We got people willing to come to work. Like I said, people are happy now. And I think that with her leadership and her making it all possible, I think our transit is on the road. And we're all destined for success under the leadership of Charlotte Shaw.
I know that there are so many great things. What's that? This organization under Dr. Shaw's leadership, because as a state, she has a vision and she has a team that is excited about to follow the vision. I know me, I am all in, and I look forward to the great things that are ahead.
I'm honored to be a part of her team, and I definitely believe in her vision and her mission for BJCTA. So, Director Shaw, thank you for being an awesome leader.
Ms. Shaw, 2 thumbs up and 2 high fives.
After a successful first year working at BJCTA, I feel empowered and encouraged to continue my efforts in growing transit. And as my favorite song by Fat White, ain't no stopping us now.
I'll finish off my reports by not being controversial, but talking about Michelle, how I accepted her from the beginning. We had the BRT that our past CEO didn't think was gonna finish, and she turned it around. I saw one other thing was when she went into city council and asked for 14 million, they got 18 million. That was amazing. I ain't never seen them do that before. Then when she came here and she turned the personality of the organization around, she made everybody a lot more happier. So I appreciate you for that. You moved us a long way, so we keep on going. All right. Do we have any public comments today? No, sir. No public comments. Oh, yeah. Ms. Shaw, can you do your honors?
I'm going to ask Berta's family to join me in the front, please. We had the wonderful opportunity to have our Director of Human Resource, Berta Bright, work with us, and we lost him several weeks ago, and all of us are very sorry and give you our deepest condolences. And we wanted to have this time in front of our Board of Directors today to let you know just how very important Berta's was to us in this organization. And I told you about a time that my own mother was sick, and I had to come into a meeting. And it was here in this boardroom, it was an executive conference meeting. And I started to cry, and immediately Berta's got up and came to me. And he prayed for me like I had never heard anyone else pray for me that day. And I can tell you, my mother is well. And so I just want to thank you on behalf of BJCTA. And I'm going to ask the team that you stand with me in solidarity as we present this resolution honoring Berta Bright today. And it reads, whereas the Birmingham-Jefferson County Transit Authority lost a valued family member and dedicated member of its leadership team on October 12, 2022, with the passing of Berta Bright. Whereas Berta Bright's brief service from February 14, 2022 to October 12, 2022, as Director of Human Resources at the Birmingham-Jefferson County Transit Authority, left a long-lasting positive impact in the Human Resources Department and throughout the workforce. Whereas his wise and calm demeanor inspired good work from the employees he supervised and fair and equitable decisions from the managers he advised. Whereas his approach to life exemplified patience, kindness, graciousness, humor, and love for people. Whereas he was a loving husband to Yvonne for 33 years and a father to Shannon and Spencer. Whereas he balanced his career with his love for his fur babies, Gus and Helen, cheering for the Crimson Tide and playing golf. Whereas he was a long-standing faithful member of Brookport Church of God in Brookport, Illinois, before relocating to Alabama. Whereas his motto was serving family, church, and country, you can never go wrong. We resolved that the Board of Directors of the Birmingham-Jefferson County Transit Authority recognizes the significant contributions of Berta Bright over the course of his distinguished career and extends its sincere and deepest condolences to the Bird is Bright family. We thank you for sharing burdens with us. We're so sorry for your loss. And please take this plaque and this resolution and these flowers as our token for appreciation. On his behalf.
I thank you for engulfing Burgess as family and welcoming him in such a short time here. But I am not the speech maker. My husband was always the social person, and he always had something funny to say. And he told me about your dinners or luncheons things that he would try and do a little jig or something, and I would like be blushing because he would be embarrassing me if I was here. But that was his personality, to fit in and just love everyone as who they are. And he adored everyone, and we just appreciate the love that everyone has shown to us. It really means a lot. Thank you.
I think we might have to pause for a second for Burgess. Some eyes taken care of. He's a great guy. He was showed a lot of respect. So if we can, we're going to continue the meeting. We're going to move on to the consent calendar. 7 items on the consent calendar. If someone could move that motion to approve the consent calendar.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the items on the consent calendar be adopted as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The consent calendar has passed. We have 5 items on the resolution to consider. We'll start off with resolution 2023-11.
Resolution 2023-11, approval of a resolution to adopt and grant approval for the executive director or her designee to implement the fiscal year 2023 operating and capital budget.
Is there a motion for this item? Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any discussion on this item?
I have a question regarding Section 4 in this particular resolution says that there's authorization to modify budget line items during the year so long as the overall total amounts of the operating doesn't change, the operating and the capital. It was just more of a historical question and understanding, is that the way that this has always been done from a perspective wise? Because what I've seen more of in my city government experience. Well, I'll talk loud. How about that? It's just mainly a question. I understand items may need to be changed from time to time, but when do those items come back forward so that we know that those changes have occurred? And is there going to be an
question. So how that works, now that we have a very larger capital program than usual, we do not come back to the board if we want to modify line items, as long as we do not exceed the budgeted amount. And so our budgeted amount, for example, for capital is 13 something, right? And we may not execute a particular project and may move the money over for some reason or another, but we like to retain that for day-to-day operations. And so as long as we don't exceed that budgeted amount, unless it is a contractual document that I have to come back to the board for anything over $25,000. So anything you approve as part of the budget today is within that allotted amount. If it's a contract, and if it's a contract, if I exceed that or an amendment, I have to come back to you for approval. Now, as far as the budgeted amount, we get to move that around based on what we're executing and what we're doing in the company throughout the year, unless the budget needs to be amended for some reason. And so if I need to amend the budget at an increased amount or at a different amount, I will come back to the board and request whatever that amendment is. Does that help? And so if the line items themselves may move around, they may be different, with the exception of, and I'm predominantly talking about the capital budget, within the budget. Anything else shouldn't change. Everything else should stay the same. But that capital budget is a big part of our FY23 this year. And so we like to retain that day-to-day as a day-to-day operation to move those items accordingly to the way our capital program manager or chief may need to move things around to get them executed.
I understand. I think my concern, and I'm not saying that you're not capable, I think you were excellent work. I mean, everything I see has been tremendous. It just comes down to the question of like that additional board oversight, since we're talking about such a large amount of money. And I noticed in here that there is a reference to the finance committee within 45 days. I understand that if those changes to occur, that it would come, working out, that within 45 days that it would be provided to the finance committee, and they have the opportunity to take a look at that and have input. Is that what I understand? Is that what we're
Well, no, are we talking capital?
Well, you stopped operating.
Yeah. Well, you switched on me, so I went to operate. When you said it, I just went there. So I can be fluid.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were talking the same thing. So operations, that's true.
Well, one of the questions, does the board want to approve a line item like in October? Which means that every time we make a change in the line item, we have to come back to you for approval.
And that's the question. I don't know. I'm asking because from a historical.
That hasn't been done.
Okay.
Here. If you raise that question, the board wants it done, of course, that's your pledge.
Well, historically, that's not how that's done, though, right? Because we don't want a line item budget approval because that restrict us from doing the day-to-day operations and getting the projects completed and done and moved around, or any operating expense for that matter, according to what we need to do within real time. And so I would like to keep it approved on a budget basis and not a line item basis, because that restricts us.
But I think that part of the resolution you read is when we come back to you for approval, for any variances that may be going on in the budget, we will then come back to you for a revised budget. And that gives you the opportunity then to approve that.
Well, that's partially true, but I'm just referring to section 4. It says that the executive director / CEO is hereby authorized to modify budget line items during the year so long as the overall amounts of the operating and capital budget are not exceeded. The executive director / CEO will report any budget modifications to the finance committee and board within 45 days of occurrence. So my main question is really, is there any additional oversight as it relates to those line item modifications? you're telling me the answer is no, based off of how traditionally the budget has been approved, the overarching amount. That answers my question. So with that, I don't have any, that's what I needed to know.
Oh, okay, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
So the other question, that is, why do we have to wait 45 days to be notified of the change? Why not a short period of time? Well, that is traditionally been that resolution, we can show it that, normally when we meet with you, each month, we start to show that, you know, we are responsible for passing the budget. That's what we all agree, but not everything. I think, no, I'm not saying John, but when you raise a good question concerning our issue responsibility. So I'm not sure, it seems like 45 days is a long time to go without knowing that some significant changes take place. By significant, I'm saying anything, $100,000 making bigger changes, certainly, I think we should be notified of those changes in a short amount of time, rather than wait 45 days to follow support. And if there's something happens as a result of that, I mean, good. This might happen, and we're, you know, it's going to happen again, like we have been for the past 3 years. That's what we're aware of.
So what would you suggest in terms, I think you were referring just to be notified within 45 days, so we could shorten that period if you like. That standard language that obviously was before me, because had I seen that, I mean, we reviewed it, but I probably would have not even placed that language in resolution. So what would you like, and what would you suggest that and recommend for a time period that you should be notified for a change? And I hope that you would consider it not being a dollar amount, because that, to me, I'd like to have the latitude as the CEO who you placed in this position to be responsible for the budget, to be able to move things around accordingly based on the needs of the company.
I'm curious if Mr. Branch has an opinion. Concerning our fiduciary responsibility.
I mean, it's really the discretion of the board as to what that time period needs to be. I think that's just been language that's been in the resolutions, but historically, you know, in the reality, practically speaking, if there's notice that needs to be given, it's pretty quick. You know, to the finance committee and to the board. The latitude, I think, is just more of, you know, let's assume you had a committee meeting, that next meeting could be longer than 30 days. And I think that's why that language was, the 45 days language was put in there, so it wouldn't be something that was, you know, not able to be met.
I have a suggestion if someone wants to make a motion for it, is that it's, the information is given to us as soon as possible, but no later than 45 days.
That works for me. I'm good. If I would just say that since we have a finance committee and we have given them a little bit more leeway in reviewing those, my perspective is just that use them. You know, I know you need to make decisions as a CEO. I want you to do it. To do what you need to do to make things work and to move things around. But just from an oversight perspective, I want to make sure that the board remains engaged as quickly as possible, and sometimes our meetings are later. So that's the concern that's on my mind. But other than that, I will say again, y'all are doing a great job. Don't take this as a criticism. This is just a perspective from our fiduciary duties that we have.
So if someone wants to amend the resolution to include that language, somebody make the motion.
Motion.
All right, second.
So the language should be not later than 45 days.
As soon as possible, no later than 45 days. Yeah. All right, so, okay, on the amendment to this resolution, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That amendment passes. And we need to pass the resolution 2023-11 with that amendment added. Someone will make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, this item has been moved and properly second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Any abstentions? That item passes.
Chair Smith, I did have want to make one comment.
Go ahead.
Whenever you do a negotiation like that, sometimes when you are dealing with companies, studies, information, and also communication, because companies can sometimes fall outside of that time. That will be beyond her reach. So if there is a situation like that, we will also consider that. Because sometimes we don't know what studies might be done, what product is, even with the company's communication. So then keep that in mind.
Then according to the amendment, she just explained to us, right, and we are, moving on.
Okay.
We on resolution 2023-06.
Resolution 2023-06, approval of a resolution granting authority to the Executive Director, CEO, or her designee to revise the Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority's drug and alcohol policy.
We have a motion for this item.
Motion.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion on this item? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That item passes. We're going to move on to resolution 2023-08.
Resolution 2023-08, approval of a resolution granting authority to the Executive Director, CEO, or her designee to extend the contract at the one-year option rates of the contract between the Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority and CJ Pressure Cleaning, Inc. for 5 months from October 1 through February 28, 2023.
We have a motion on the table. There's a second. All right, moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That item passes. We're going to move on to resolution 2023-09.
Resolution 2023-09, approval of a resolution granting authority to the Executive Director, CEO, or her designee to extend the contract at the one-year option rates of the contract between the Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority and Hills Janitorial Service, Inc. for 5 months.
That item has been moved. Is there any discussion? If no, go ahead. Okay, I thought we had already done that. I'm sorry. It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion on that? If no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That resolution passes. We're on resolution 2023-12.
Resolution 2023-12, approval of a resolution authorizing the Executive Director, CEO, or her designee to execute a two-year contract with two one-year options between Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority and Clean Energy Fuels Corporation to provide repair and maintenance services for the compressed natural gas station.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Been moved and properly second. Is there any discussion on this item? I have one thing I want to add to the CNG. When we have CNG services, can we get the numbers on what we are actually bringing in on this?
When we sell, yes.
All right, there's been a motion. Is there any discussion on this item? No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That item passes. We're going to move on to section 8, which is election of the board officers for this time period. Is there any direction on how we're going to do this? Thanks.
we could, read the persons who have been nominated and open the floor for any other nominations at this time.
The 2022 Board of Directors election ballot. For board chair, you have LaDon Jones, Sam Parker, and Ted Smith. For vice chair, you have Paige Coker, Don Jones, and Sam Parker.
Mr. Chair, LaDon did not, give authorization for the vice chair position.
Secretary, we have Willie Davis III and Sam Parker. Those are the people represented for the board, elected officers. All right, we're gonna make the election for board chair.
So, Mr. Chairman, your elections committee, did you turn it over to them to do the elections? And then if you want to, then Ms. Thompson or someone else will start with, the elections, and then we're gonna have to vote that way.
Davis, you're up.
All right, Ms. Thompson, if you go ahead and we'll start off with the board chair.
And then after that position's elected, then that person will preside over the rest of it.
Director Carpenter.
Sam Parker.
Director Coker.
Hudson.
Director Cunningham. Director Evans.
LaDon Jones.
Director Minor. Director Parker.
Yes, ma'am.
Director Smith.
Ted Smith.
Director Davis.
LaDon Jones.
Director Jones. Mr. Chair, Attorney French, what would the quorum be? I just want to,
Actually, what goes with the president?
we have a present.
Okay, well, majority of that would be, it's sort of majority of 85. It was up here.
Count is Jones 3, Parker 1, Smith 4.
So the top two, that would have all of those.
Okay.
Director Junior said, so there's not a majority for the election of the board members who are present. There are 8 board members present, and a majority is needed for any item to pass, which would be 5 board members. And the count was what, Ms. Thompson?
Jones 3, Parker 1, Smith 4.
So there would be a runoff at this point, or a new election now, between Director Jones and Director Smith. Will be the 2 candidates for that position there.
Going over? Yeah. Director Carpenter. Director Coker. Director Davis.
LaDonna Jones.
Director Evans.
LaDonna Jones.
Director Jones. Director Minor is absent. Director Parker. Director Smith. So, sir, we have a tally on Ted Smith.
And what's the vote count?
The vote count is 3 to 5.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and, go with the vice chair position.
Director Coker. Page Coker. Director Carpenter.
Sam Carter.
Director Cunningham. Director Davis.
Page Coker.
Director Evans.
Sam Parker.
Director Jones. Director Minor is absent. Director Parker. Chair Smith.
Stay.
The vote count is 3 for Coker, 4 for Parker, and 1 abstention.
Okay, it's still not a quorum of the voting members, of those who are present. And so again, as I stated, for the chair's position, there are 8 board members present. In order to pass an item, we need a majority of those voting were present, which would be 5 to carry.
I can change mine, I'm thinking. Sam Parker.
Are you asking for another vote again? Just, again, let's just do an entire vote again. I think some directors may want to vote again.
Director Carpenter.
Page Coker.
Director Coker.
Page Coker.
Director Cunningham. Director Davis. Director Evans.
Page Coker.
Director Jones. Director Parker. Director Smith.
Abstain.
We have the vote tally being 7 for Coker with 1 abstention. I would declare her as the vice chair.
Now move on to secretary position.
So for secretary, Director Carpenter. Director Coker.
Willie Davis.
Director Cunningham. Director Davis. Director Evans.
Willie Davis.
Director Jones. Director Parker. Director Smith.
Willie Davis.
Sir, I would declare Director Davis secretary.
So today we elected board chair Ted Smith, vice chair Peggy Coker, Secretary Willie Davis III. With that, any old business? Any new business?
I just wanted to also commend our CEO for doing an outstanding job her first year. Came in with a lot of challenges. She stepped up to the plate like a true player. If I was a coach, I'd have her a point guard. So she did a great job. I want to commend her and the entire staff for what y'all adapted and took her on as your leader. Thank you.
And I would also like to second on that. Director Shaw, I'll tell you, over the years, I have served on many of committees to find CEOs for various companies, nonprofits, and I will tell you that you always are faced with an interesting decision. It's like, okay, well, we've got some really good candidates, and when you talk to people about what their strengths and weaknesses are those candidates really to say, okay, well, I got some weaknesses, but I know what I need to do to grow. I have the connections and the people in my life that have been instrumental in my life that I understand that if I've got a point that I need some assistance in, I can bring that to the table. And that was the main thing for me, because I've long said, I may not be the smartest person in the room, but I'm gonna have the smartest person in the room with me, working with me on my behalf to get to where I need to. And I just appreciate just who you are. I say that genuinely, just who you are. Continue being who you are. And I know that you challenge the staff, and we see just a great team that you've assembled here, the people that have stayed, the people who come on board. It is just great to see. And my last thing is that y'all hear me say I'm not about the mess. I don't really care about what happened in the past and all that stuff. I'm just really about moving forward. And I like this transit on the grow. We're on the grow. We're on the move. And I'm excited about that. And I just want to say thank you for the effort that you put in and all the hard work, staff as well, all the work that you're putting in. Thank you. It really shows. And just like that clip that we got of the one customer, that's just one of many. And so thank you so much. Just really, done an excellent job.
I've been just told that we have another resolution that we have to vote on before we leave. So I'm sorry about that, but it's resolution 2023-15. I can read it if you don't have it. Approval of a resolution granting authority to the executive director and CEO or designee to extend the initial term of the contract between Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority and Allied University Security, formerly C4S Security Solutions, for security service for an additional 3 months. It's been moved.
It didn't make it over.
It's been moved. Does anybody want a second? It's been moved and properly second. Is there discussion on this item? No discussion on this item? All in favor, say aye.
Ms. Shaw, are we still looking at putting this out for bid? Okay.
So this is for 3 more months.
Yes. Give us time to work on the solicitation, because we have 7 solicitations going on.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? This item passes. We're going to go into adjournment at this point.